Welcome to this segment of Soul, Silence, and Sound. This is brought to you by BeSimply.
Stars, trees, clouds, and the moon. They all have a meaning and they look just like you.
Welcome to this segment of Soul, Silence, and Sound. This is Suzanne, and I want to thank you all for being here today. We have a little Dharma talk, Suzanne style. Then we're going to enter into a silent meditation with some electromagnetic sound balancing, and then we'll lead out with a conclusion and a little song. And today we're going to really dive into the new moon that was at its full apex about a day ago, where I'm at, almost 24 or 5 hours ago. And this is when I could record, so this is when we're celebrating it and listening. However, you more than likely over the past few days, the latter part of last week, we're starting to feel the new moon. And I really want to talk about cycles, because this would be cycle 4 and cycle 2. The 4 goes for our left and right hemispheres, and the 2 is our island nation. So we're into the second cycle of what would be known as spring at this time around by the island nations. And this is a topic I want to talk about because the Gregorian calendar, which came after the Julian calendar, were superimposed on interstellar space, and also with the idea that the seasons needed to be consistent with the calendar. And what that did is, like, for people that are in Australia right now, they're experiencing fall. And so, but our calendar suggests the season should be spring, and that's not the case. And so bit by bit, we're migrating back to a 13 count calendar. And unbeknownst to many of you, people are actually living their life by this 13-month calendar. Some that are in the know, and some that perceive that they are in charge. And the important part about this 13-month calendar is it's governed by the feminine. It's governed by the fertility and the cycles of fertility, and understanding that we're in exchange with kind of handing off, when we get experience, like right now where I am, this is our spring. It's just finally starting to feel like spring. And so we really then become in this dance with nature. And then as we continue to flow, that number 1 count, let's say, might start in what we perceive as summer, or in fall, or winter. Right now in lunar tradition, they're still in, like, India and China and different parts of Asia. They're still coming back to the Gregorian, the 12-month calendar. And the reason for that is because people have to make appointments in the society that really is attached to this calendar. However, if we had no internet, no computers, no bankers, we would be watching the celestial bodies, and we would count. And I've mentioned this before. There's a turtle, and they would use, especially in the island nations, counting the turtles, like they could move the stones and see. And or they notice differences in the seasons, meaning that, okay, we've had 3 moons. We look at the stars, naked eye astronomy, and we know where we are. And that's why the islanders are beautiful wayfinders and master sales people. I'll call them salespeople, sales beings, navigating the seas. And in the Great North, the same thing, Nordics. And they also, at one time, used a 13-month calendar. And so I encourage you all, as much as possible, to really listen in every month, as I do, these lunar months, not banker months. And then what that does is our attachment to astrology as we know it, with in accordance to a banker calendar, shifts, really. And that's where the storytelling would come, that your mother might say you were born on a full moon 3 days after the full moon, or a waning moon, or you're born on the new moon, or somewhere in between. And it was, the trees were changing color. So you would have this sense of the season you belong to, but it wouldn't be attached to these months called January, February, March, April, May. And that lets you know that you were in fall. Because again, our brothers and sisters that are in the Southern Hemisphere, they're held kind of to this calendar too that doesn't make sense. Like they're like, okay, we're doing winter when it's not winter months, and it's the flip. So imagine it feels so much more coherent if you can live in harmony with your seasons and with the flow of the months when you choose to start counting them. And quite honestly, each one of you might count your months differently. Your new year might be when you came into physical world from your mother's womb. By Eastern tradition, that start is when you were conceived, when your soul dropped into your mother's womb. And that would be when your count happened. And this would be something that your mother would track and would be your flow and understanding. I actually was, you would say I was born in a new moon that was in the summer on the islands of Hawaii. And that would give the setting for your path forward in this physical life. However, if that's when you came into the physical form, it might be like, oh, I actually dropped into my mother's womb in the fall in the islands of Hawaii. And so that would be the beginning of your count. So your fall would be like a new year for you every year, and your count would go from there. And then you keep counting them 13 times, and the seasons will rotate because we're spiraling. That 28th day cycle is the spiral. So let's talk about the cycles as far as it's related to the feminine. Whether you are on your moon cycle, we talked about some of this last month or last 2 weeks ago, but when you are physically bleeding or energetically bleeding, that should be your rest time. And if we all were in small tribal locations, the women would be doing this all at the same time. Because why? We have this pheromone effect on one another. We have an electromagnetic field that allows us all to come into alignment with one another so that the village can run in harmony with all the women and with nature and with the moon. Because at the new moon, we're downward pulling. All of everything that's coming down is coming down. So it's almost like if you think of the women's blood, it's coming down into the earth and it's providing resources. And at the same time, it clears things out. And the women are becoming this conduit to transformation. They're becoming the conduit to healing, not only their own healing, but their children and their local community, coupled with at that time, they're really connecting not only to their inner landscape, but the cosmic landscape. And they're starting to see what's coming and listening. And that process is really important and to be done under rest, almost a ceremonial state where you're resting, you're listening, you're nourishing, and you're seeing. And it's not so much that you're ready to do, because when you come out of that phase, even when you come out of your menstrual cycle, whether it's physically happening to you or energetic, meaning that you're beyond menstruating, that time is so powerful because you have an integration phase. Our society has moved so fast and feels like it puts so much pressure. That's why artificial intelligence is not in harmony with the organic system we're in. It's trying to co-op and take from it, but it will not sustain because nature can't harmonize with it, nor does it want to harmonize it because it's artificial. And so the feminine, she is that creator, this divine being that brings in life, can connect and access all that is every single month, and then integrate it, and then take action, and then go back in. And so it's this spiral, this continuous spiral that keeps happening over and over, and it's not locked by anything, nor was it ever intended to be? So it's literally this rotation and that spiral out. But then once you get to the end of the cycle, you come back in, and then you think about it, you're in that incubation place, you're in that place to listen, prepare, and midway you're ready to receive and take action, meaning that if you were to create a human life, it would the soul would drop in at that time and then flow. And then so you might say, oh well, this could happen at any time. Of course. And women, to be fair, women can ovulate twice in 1 month. They can ovulate during their menstrual cycle and during their new moon phase or their full moon phase, and where that yang energy is there. And the cycle with the shedding of the blood is very sacred. There's so much happening there, and it's powerful that women are given the opportunity every single month to go through this really beautiful process with themselves. And like I said, for your family, for your ancestry. And when we sync up with that, it's so powerful. And women that have moved beyond their cycles, this is an energetic time, and you really go through this major transformation leading in to perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. You're really becoming the leader of the community, the leader of your family, of your tribe, because no longer are you to hold the responsibility of birthing children and raising children, yet you have the opportunity to really be the wise one for the community, and to hold space for the children, the grandchildren, the maidens, the mothers, and the sisters in the community. So men out there that are listening are saying, okay, this for you is very similar. You're going through these same phases like the feminine, yet your what I would call shedding time is actually at the full moon. And that's why in many tribal situations, they are going into ceremony and retreat. And as I mentioned before, men and women separate and go into retreat at new moon and full moon. And the women are at the full moon holding space, ideally, for the men as they go inward and they're shedding. And reverse is happening when the women are shedding. The men are holding space for them and tending to the community. So this beautiful dance back and forth through each cycle and then through each annual cycle, coupled with no overarching calendar that's imposed on an organic system. And so for all you astrologers, as I've been hinting, I really encourage you to step back, really feel into how you're going to start interpreting people's flow and their tracking outside of these 12 calendars. It's really important. And you'll be ahead of the curve, as I mentioned. Hint, hint, hint. So now that we've kind of laid the land there a little bit more, if you have questions about this, please message me. And yes, there's a lot of people out there that have written stuff, teach stuff a certain way. I can't speak for them. I can just speak to you that for as long as we can know, agricultural systems have adhered to this moon and solar phenomena, we'll call it. And there are, many opinions about the moon, and there are more things to come about the moons. And for right now, just the more that you sync up with nature will be your call and response. And so as we enter into this new cycle, there's still this flow of responsibility, of standing up, of being true to yourself, all those things. And like I said, the manipulators, the tricksters will continue to be revealed. And rather than getting offended or upset, just hold space to observe and understand that the things that need to be seen are being seen. And then you could determine how you want to handle that, if that makes sense. And so where that places us right now is that we are at a detour. And that detour, you might have felt the past few days. You might have felt it even today. And it takes you on a path that you don't know how you're going to get to where you need to go. And then you'll finally get to this point during this lunar cycle where you see the transfer point, transfer here. And this is very similar to what happens at death, that when one leaves their body, there's a lot of things, just like there's a lot of things written about how we tend to the moon and the sun and the elements. They're most likely for most people, based on what they believe, there's a detour point because they haven't prepared for it. And so it all works out because there's helpers and there's people that help them get back on track. So think about right now in your life, there might be what you're experiencing is a detour, unexpected changes, shifts. And some of you might say, I feel like I've been on this train for a while. Yes, we all have. But really pay attention during this cycle where that detour has been for yourself. And then you'll feel that transfer here. And now this applies when I say transfer here. You can think of it like a subway station, and it's time to transfer off one subway, walk across. If you've ever been in countries where they have really robust train stations and subway systems, you walk across and you get on the next train and transfer here to get to where you need to go. And that's kind of what's happening. Coupled with the transfer here is connected to the mental, physical, and emotional bodies and your spiritual body, what it's communicating. And the mind is communicating very quickly right now. And part of this is because what they did with the internet and AI. So it's kind of like the universe has a sense of humor, because it's like, oh, you built this whole thing so you could be in charge of everyone's thoughts and actions and try to control it. And you're like, what kind of wild person would want that? You have enough stuff to manage within yourself. Holding on to all that information has a huge karmic debt. Plus, it'll just implode on itself. But the cool part about that is that it's really, if you listen, and whatever your state of resonance is towards yourself and or others, will transfer here in the present moment very rapidly. It always does, but now it's reinforced by... So what this means is that the artificial superimposition over the quantum field that belongs to the divine, not to any technology companies or centers. It really is this ever-changing, oscillating, multidimensional tapestry that we're all contributing to. So this transfer here, I want everyone to be very aware of, because what's happening is that if you study yogic, Buddhist, Taoist traditions, there's this word that's really used a lot, but mindfulness, but it's awareness. And when you have awareness about the mind, about your speech, and about your actions, then if you're motivated for the benefit of all, not for self, but for all, you begin to start to understand that which you think about someone else transfers to them immediately, and it's happening much stronger. Now, if you're not in a mentally balanced space, a physically balanced space, emotionally balanced space, even spiritually balanced space, you might act out. And this can happen, and that's part of life happening. Yet it's an opportunity to practice and to humble down when you become a runaway train to yourself and or others. And so if you have the intrinsic nature to want to be of service to others, then the practice now and every single moment is to benefit yourself and others with your mind, with your heart, and with your speech, and with your actions. And when you do that, it's this beautiful transfer, and it's transferring here now rapidly. And oftentimes, depending on if you're not doing it just to yourself, but to someone else, depending on the person's awareness, they might feel it. And so think about the times where all of a sudden you felt sad or happy, all those things. When that happens, that is a sudden incoming from someplace else. And it's also to remember that if all of a sudden you feel anxious, what I'll do, because of the work I do, I will check in with myself first to determine, do I suddenly, have anxiety, which I don't typically have, but I'll be like, okay, where's this coming from? And if I can determine where it's coming from, I will send some calming energy back towards the source. Or I might do some pranayama back towards the source to help the person calm. Or if I definitively know, I will check in with the person. Hey, how's it going? To send it back. Now, if this is someone that might be angry or upset or lashing out, then I will simply really send some nice vibrations to the being. But I will also disengage from that. I'll just gently, if you can imagine, you have a biofield around you, just gently pushing it out beyond that biofield and allowing it to stay there. And again, you don't always know. You might think you know where it's coming from, unless you're very well practiced. So to also be careful not to make assumptions about where you think it's coming from. So the healthiest thing to do is, if you notice something's coming in that's not beneficial to your well-being, just gently imagine pushing it out beyond this egg-shaped sphere that's around you, all the way around, above you, below you, just gently pushing it out to the perimeter. And then it'll go back to where it needs to be. And I think that's the healthiest and the least karmically involved process for me to talk about right now. I could do a longer segment on this. And so the reason I share this is it hopefully is a motivator to, if you need to think about someone, speak about them, take action with someone, or going to take action, that it's motivation to do it for their highest and best. Celebrate the best. In Buddhism, there's this beautiful tradition. If you're feeling jealous or envious, celebrate them. Like, wow, they did that. Fantastic for them. Celebrate their wins. Don't covet them. Don't be envious of them. And if for some reason you're envious of someone and you don't know why, turn in, be with it, sit with it, understand that that's really nothing to do with that person. It's something internal that wants to have peace. And when you start to figure that out, it's so much better. And the other wonderful thing about this is that you start to really help one another out. You champion for one another. And we're coming to the end of an era where people have been a little overconsumed with trauma, working their darkness, all those things. They're going to come up naturally. So it's not to say that you're not going to face it when it comes up, but you don't need to spend so much time with it anymore, because we're at this crest, this threshold of manifesting what we speak, what we think, what we feel instantly. And it's only going to become stronger and stronger, as unbeknownst to those beings that wanted to try to control or co-opt this moment. They're actually supercharging it for everyone. So, it's the cosmic fun that we get to have with one another. It's always balancing. Something's always balancing. And if any of you are listening and you're just like to be a little naughty, remember that there is debt deposits and withdrawals happening every moment when we're speaking, when we're taking action, all those things. And if you know that you lashed out, just really be like, okay, I lashed out at someone that wasn't appropriate. I'm going to really make amends with myself for doing that. And then I'm going to send what would be known as like a metta back to the person, really just apologizing for acting out. And you don't have to necessarily call them up. Just do this process. They might call you up, but just gently, and don't invade their space. You already invaded it by acting out towards them mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And then from there, you keep going. You keep going. And as I mentioned, if you don't know where something's coming from, don't start pushing it off on other people, because sometimes that's your projection and it's some of your inner work. And so it's easier to point outward. But the more that you practice with understanding what's yours and what's something from outside of you, it's all just energy, then you can start like just gently pushing it out and then bringing yourself back to center and operating in your highest and best in every moment. So with that being said, we're going to drop into our center and go into the meditation right now. And what I would love for you to really just open yourself to is really the resonance that you want to exchange with the world around you. And when you determine what that is, and don't make it complicated, keep it simple. If you want to exchange love, peace, abundance, awesome, whatever it is, just determine what that is and practice that. And this is the other caveat to the really staying in harmony with nature and the moons and the sun, is that it takes really a willingness to show up and stay focused there. We get distracted with so many things unnecessarily. And then if we carve out the space, we will fill up our cup spiritually, and we'll be more centered and altruistic for one another. And then all the other things we do will feel more in a flow state. And we will see when we are to transfer here right now. And it will not cause any stress, worry, all those kinds of things, or fear. You'll just be in deep knowing. So this was a long chat today. I appreciate you guys listening to it. So we're going to go into the meditation, the silence. If you can, come up into an upright seated position on the floor or in a chair if you would like. Cross-legged position, and then gently bringing your spine up, 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 up. If for some reason you feel better in Shavasana, go ahead and lay flat. And then from there, we're going to just bring our awareness to our physical body, our spinal column, and we're going to bring our breath, bringing it all the way up, 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 up. And then exhaling out. Again, inhale. And exhale. Good. Another one. Inhale. And exhale. And then gently from there, just follow your natural breathing pattern. Soft gaze towards a focal point, or if you're comfortable with your eyes closed and your mind's relatively quiet, let that be.
circle in the sun. circle in the sand.
And gently from there, I welcome you to gently lean back and recline or move fully into Shavasana, a prone position on your back with your palms facing upward as we transition into receiving sound. As you settle in, just take a nice gentle breath into the heart and out. Again, inhale. And exhale. And one more inhale. And exhale. And then continue to follow your natural breathing pattern.
Ane, ane,
Taking a soft, gentle breath, breathing in and out of your heart center, and connecting back to my talking voice. And so if you're ready, you're going to just roll over onto your right or left side, take a few breaths, and then you'll rise up to a seated position. And as you do, just bring that spine up, 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 up. And drop those shoulders down. And then take a deep breath in. And out. Again, inhale. And exhale. Good. One more inhale. And exhale. Good. And as you continue to breathe in and out, just welcoming you to express some silent gratitude for all aspects of yourself. Good. And then gently from there, as you breathe in and out, taking a moment, if you would like, to transfer here some kindness, compassion, some gratitude to people, a person, a place, all of the above. Please just send that out. And making sure it's welcome. Again, when we reach out towards anyone, we want to make sure that we already have a mutually agreed upon relationship to engage in this way. And if someone doesn't want you to impose upon them, honor that, respect that. And I have a feeling at the full moon, we'll talk a little bit more about that in ways that you can work with the energy in the case, in a moment of conflict. And so gently from there, just want to bring you back to the detours and the transfer here. You're at an opportunity moment that you get a cross the subway station, move on to another subway, and that path might feel like you have to take a few detours to get where you're going. But also in that process, you will notice where things are retracting, where there are signs that things are retracting, and there's also signs of the new things to come. And at that moment, just be aware of the energies that bring you joy and feel like a building energy between you, other people, a location, and those shifts that start to happen. It's like all of a sudden you see things that you didn't know were there before, and it's like a whole new world. Like you're like, whoa, I didn't realize this was all happening, and now you can access it. And that is that beautiful alchemy that we're having in this multidimensional undescribable quantum field that is woven by each and every one of you. You are the co-creators of the reality that we are all dancing in, the perceptual reality. And so whether you're in a waking state or a perceptual dreaming state, it's this continual process. And the more that you take accountability for that which you speak, that which you imagine, that which you take action on, and hold it with the your ability, if you so to choose, to benefit all. And start small. Don't be so like, oh, I gotta like benefit the entire world, because it really is imprint, and then it has those ripples. It's so if you think in that sense, how can I benefit that where I'm sitting and where I'm listening, and how can I benefit that in the great work that I do, whatever it is, keep it local, and then it'll spiral out, much like our moon cycles. And the other component I just wanted to add on there, male and female alike, when you're having your shedding time, that is your quote unquote new moon, the downward time for self. And then your full moon is when there's the fertility and all of that. Now, how it syncs up for male and female when they come together in the nature that we know in this moment, it will, because the woman is the primary creator, it will happen at her full moon, her ovulation. And then the male will have that extra energy, because the shedding for a male is a little different. It's a dissipation of extra energy that's built up, and they have more to give at that time. And that is at the female full moon and nature's full moon. And they're excused from their ceremony cycle to help the world keep moving on, and to keep procreating and recreating and letting that cycle organically flow. And it's very destined too. So know that you listen, and then you dance together. All right. So with all that being said, just remember that sometimes in life there are detours. Listen for when it's time for you to transfer and cross the subway station and jump on that new line to your next destination, and know that you're held by divine love, and you are divine love, and you help co-create this mysterious reality that we all imagine and, I don't know, are intrigued by, really. So I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to listen in this moment. I also want to thank Dante Marino, Random Rad, and Kadri Scott. We're going to exit out with little Kadri Scott. Only, or Just Me is the song, so appropriate for right now to really ground in to your energy and to really love thyself. We are so much more, equipped when we feel whole to serve ourselves and others. When we are not, it makes it a little wavy gravy. And we're coming up on, summer season, spring and summer here in Northern Hemisphere, and winter season in the Southern Hemisphere. And to know that there's a lot of activities and opportunities to engage in community, family, entertainment, all those things. So please support the arts in all their forms, and these three creators as mentioned here. Until next time, this is Suzanne signing out with a full heart, a soft gaze, a deep bow, and a namaste. Be simply.